Have you seen any?
I know that they are on the way over here, and as I look out the window, I'm actually trying to find them. I already can tell that they're going to keep them at a separate staging area until this area is cleared to enter, but I'm trying to find that. Okay, so I do have, if we go ahead and pan up, and this is going to be the north side of the 101 freeway at a shopping center about maybe 3 or 4 blocks away from the Borderline Bar and Grill. You can see a number of fire engines and ambulances now building up a staging area in front of that. What business is that? Is that a Toys R Us? So an old Toys R Us store here on the north side of the 101, Michelle and Mark, is where they are now building up that command center. And again, it's at least 3 blocks away from this original location. They are not letting any first responders anywhere near this crime scene yet until the all clear is given. But yes, numerous ambulances are now descending on the scene here, again, about 3 blocks from the original location on the north side of the 101 freeway.
Okay, yeah, we see them making their way now toward the Borderline Bar and Grill, where that shooting reportedly took place, reportedly a mass shooting sometime around 11:30 this evening, maybe a little bit before 11:30 when the first reports came in. We do have Jory Rand on the way, on the ground. We have Chris Christie, of course, in the air, who's bringing us these pictures from Air 7 HD. And we are watching authorities now come up with their strategy to get into that building and get to that gunman. As far as we know, the suspect has not been neutralized. The suspect is still on the loose. And the description that we have is an individual wearing black clothing, a long beard, and a beanie cap.
We're getting some information that we hope to have on the air for you. As soon as we can get this video turned around, we'll run it for you. But I can give you a summary of what a witness told us, that he saw this person go into the Borderline Bar and Grill, threw smoke bombs into the front of the building. This person said that he saw a security guard get shot, and after that he ran out, and so that's what he was able to get. Now here's somebody being brought out here. This is a person who was inside the building, this woman being safely evacuated. So it appears there are and were people still inside, and those officers, we believe, have gone in excuse me, to try to rescue those people.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier it's college night, and I saw as part of the advertisement for Borderline Bar and Grill that it said 18 and older, I think is what I saw, 18 plus. So, you know, young people there. The woman we just saw come out looked pretty young. She, you know, it's college night, so you could have freshmen there. You could have 18-year-olds there.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. I can imagine the people that would be descending on this place with loved ones who might be inside wondering what has happened with them. But the law enforcement presence is growing. Now, there was this very large group of officers that had massed there to the right of your screen, the top right. That group seems to have dwindled. We don't know if those officers that were there looked to be about almost 24 of them, or somewhere around there, about 20 of them, that were there, and then now there's maybe less than half of that number, so we don't know where those officers went, whether they redeployed to another place or whether they've entered the building.
Coming into us, a witness who just spoke to Jory Rand down on the ground, who says that this was a single individual who walked up to the bar, shot the security guard, then walked into the establishment and deployed a smoke grenade, and then began shooting people inside the bar. That's the report that we've just received from the ground, and that would jive with a lot of the initial scanner traffic that we've heard from law enforcement as well. So that's some new information there, and that would also jive with a report earlier of an officer down. It may have been a security officer, or a security guard, I should say, at the entrance to the bar before this all started taking place. He apparently shot the security guard, entered the establishment, deployed a smoke bomb, and then began shooting people inside the Borderline Bar and Grill.
And in the video that we're seeing, you can't see it from Air 7 HD. We're seeing this video now. This is video just in to ABC 7 from the scene as it was unfolding. And we saw one person, Michelle, that was being brought out of there. This person right here, this is a an individual who appears to have been shot. You can see him very clearly there. This appears to be a civilian and was being attended to, had been carried out by friends. You see him there being carried, and then later, I believe, being placed on a gurney. Jory Rand, are you there? Waiting for Jory to set up.
But on the other side of the freeway.
All right, go ahead, Jory. Yeah, Jory?
You guys have us? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
We are just a little bit away. Authorities are keeping us well away from the scene here, so we're across the freeway. It looks like might be a staging area, but just getting off the freeway, we saw a pair of young women in tears. They arrived knowing that one of their sisters was inside the bar, and they have not heard from her. We also saw a young man who was at the front door when the shooting began. Chris Christie was talking about it a little bit. Let's play that interview right now. Okay, we were waiting for that sound. He was at the front door when the shooting began, thought it was a joke, didn't know what was going on, just started hearing pops as he was at the front door, and the security guard who was working the front door was shot, saw him go down, and saw the shooter with a handgun enter the establishment, throw several smoke grenades. People panicked at that point, began smashing windows with chairs, trying to escape. I believe we have that interview ready right now. Let's take a listen.
I was to the front door. I was talking to my stepdad, and I just started hearing these big pops, pop, pop, pop. There was probably 3 or 4. I hit the ground. I look up. The security guard's dead. Or I don't want to say dead, but he was shot. He was down. And and the gunman was throwing smoke grenades all over the place. I saw him point to the back of the cash register. And he just kept firing. I ran out the front door. I hear chairs being thrown out the window. People were trying to get out the window. And the gunman went behind the cash register. There was probably 12 shots before I got out the front door. And I go out, I come back in to see if my stepdad's okay. I hear him yelling, and I ran. But the gunman, he had a beard. He looked Middle Eastern or so. He was wearing a hat, black jacket. I think he had glasses on, like prescription glasses. He had a big handgun, and I mean, shots were just firing.
Are you okay?
I was closest. The security guard was closest to the front door. The 2 people behind the cash register were closest to the front door. I was the next person closest to the front door. I thought it was a joke when the shots started firing, and I know people there. I hope everybody's okay. I don't know how I didn't get shot.
Do you come to this bar a lot?
Yeah, here and there. It's a local spot. There's one of maybe 3. Yeah, I mean, quite a bit.
And you knew more people that were inside already?
Yeah.
Have you heard from anybody?
No. I mean, my friend that works behind the bar wasn't working tonight, but from what I've been told, there's still people in there, and it's an active shooter.
Okay, so we are just terrifying stuff, the stuff of nightmares. It's horrible to hear about, and as the details emerge, I'm sure it's only going to get worse. We're here with Tim, that's John's stepfather. Are you okay? Are you okay to talk to us?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you, and what did you see?
I was right next to the entrance. We were getting ready to leave. We had some pool, and some smoke came in. I guess he had rolled some smoke in, and he fired the first shot, and I knew it was live. I knew it was real. And my son thought it was a joke. So I pulled him down and got some behind cover and looked up, and he was moving to the right. He shot the front doorman, bouncer, like just a young man. And he shot the cashier, just a young girl. And then he started moving to the right. He wasn't looking at us. And he went into the office where all the cash and stuff is. He didn't say anything at all. He just started shooting. And I should have stayed till he changed his clip. But I was worried about my boy. But I should have stayed. I apologize to anybody who got hurt or passed. I'm sorry.
It's fine. There's not much you could have done in a situation like that.
But they're all young. I'm 56. I lived a life. They're all young. And this shouldn't have happened to them. And it was just some low life taking lives that shouldn't have been taken.
Could you tell what kind of weapon he was using?
He had a handgun. I could tell it was allowed, maybe a 44, maybe a little smaller, but it had a good ring to it. And it was just loud, and he had smoke. He was trying to confuse people, and then he went to the right and just started shooting on the dance floor. And there was just young people, like 18, 19, 20, just having a great time. And this maniac came in and started shooting people for no reason at all. These people have never hurt anybody in their lives, and they're just kids. They're just kids. I'm so sorry.
So you two just got out of there as quick as you could. Could you tell how long the firing was going on?
It was constant until he changed clips, and then there was a pause. And he reloaded, and I'm sorry I wasn't right there. And he kept on going, and then he reloaded, and he kept on popping them off. And I waited for my son. He didn't follow me like I asked him to. And so I was running back to get him, and he came out. Thank you. And so I just got him out of there. She would have never forgiven me if he would have got hurt or tied. So I just got him and made sure he was okay, and then we just left, called 911. There was already an officer on the street really quick, but we had to get out of there, and I apologize for leaving.
You don't need to. You don't need to. The police got there within moments.
It still feels like I didn't do what I should have done.
You can't do anything when you're unarmed. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
5 minutes ago, it was much more tense. It was much more precautious. And now it does appear that they've been able to give some type of an all clear for at least for first responders to now casually walk inside the building and begin a whole other side of this story, a recovery operation, and any rescues that might be able to take place. But the reports coming from inside that building, Mark and Michelle, are very, very grim.
All right, we should, now that firefighters have gained entry to the Borderline Bar and Grill, be able to get a casualty count, we hope, soon. We hope it is small, along with all of you who are watching at home. We hope that that this person wasn't able to commit more murders than that we already know about. I mean, that's it's a hope, at least, that that's the case. But what we know is that we've seen one first responder who is being worked on by paramedics. We saw another individual, a young male who looked to be a civilian, a young man, being carried out by friends and being taken and loaded up onto a gurney. And now the report that we've gotten from these two witnesses are that two people also were shot, two additional people, at least inside the building, and that was the bouncer at the front entrance and a woman behind the cash register. A number of other shots were also fired. We don't know how many clips this person was carrying. It appears, though, that it was a handgun and not an assault weapon. That's the information.
And seeing what we can do to help out.
Is everyone okay that you know was there tonight?
One is in the hospital right now, and I haven't heard back from several others. I've heard back from about 7 or 8 friends so far, saying that they're okay, but still waiting to hear back from a couple others.
What is the scene they described inside?
It was chaos, people jumping out of windows, hopping over gates, just trying to get out. From what I heard, that the gunman started shooting at the front desk, and then from there, I'm not sure. Students or friends that I have that are in there reported that students are hiding in the attics and bathrooms and stuff like that. So.
Terrible night. Thomas, are you kind of hearing the same thing?
Yeah, same thing from friends that I've heard. It's just a matter of kind of getting themselves out of the chaos and just kind of getting themselves secluded from what's going on. And so it's just kind of waiting back to hearing from what they're from. And, we're out here waiting for them and, open to them and taking them back to campus, and so it's just kind of a matter of making sure everyone's safe and everything's good.
Is this a bar you've been to a lot?
That may be
The gunman?
The gunman. We're not sure, but this is a casualty that is outside. That is someone is clearly deceased right outside of the building there. We don't know if it's the gunman. Let's try to keep it wide. Obviously, it's not lit right now, so we're okay, but let's try to keep it wide there. We don't know if that's a gunman or someone who was a victim of this, but someone is deceased right directly outside the building, the body not yet covered. You saw first responders there doing perhaps a cursory check just to make sure that there were no signs of life. We're not sure about that, but they were checking. Excuse me, that individual. Our Greg Lee, who is our Orange County reporter, attended Pepperdine University. A lot of Pepperdine students also used to go. And Greg Lee reporting tonight via Twitter that the Pepperdine student newspaper is reporting that their students from Pepperdine were at Borderline tonight. College night, according to Greg, was huge when he was in school there. So again, just like Cal Lutheran, a lot of Pepperdine young people would have been there on college night this Wednesday night at the Borderline Bar and Grill. Greg Lee ending his tweet saying, "Sick to my stomach."
All right, so
many of us are.
Yeah.
They are clearing out people. It sounds like, Chris, they're clearing out people who were hiding. You were mentioning earlier that people were hiding in a certain part of the building. I think we can release that information now. Go ahead.
Yeah, that certainly seems to be what we're seeing here. Folks who were possibly hiding in the restroom. There was an initial report that there were upwards of a dozen folks who managed to find their way into the attic of the building. And now we see a number of people now being escorted away from the building. So certainly some good news there. Some survivors that managed to hide during this ordeal now finding their way to safety, escorted by authorities. You can see here comes another, possibly an employee who's walking out. A couple of the other individuals were wearing country western style attire who, they may have been patrons here dancing and taking part in the evening. But you can see a number of people. I've counted about a half a dozen folks being escorted out of the building.
This evening, we received a call of shots fired at the Borderline Bar and Grill here in Thousand Oaks. As our first deputies arrived on scene, they also heard shots fired. Our deputies have been searching the area. It's an active scene, as you can see behind me. We can confirm that there are several people that have been injured inside the bar and grill, including one deputy sheriff that was transported. I can't tell you the condition of either the deputy or those that are injured inside, but I can tell you that this is still a very active scene, and we have obviously dozens of personnel behind me now that are trying to get to the bottom of what happened and to neutralize the threat if the threat is still active. Do we know this?
If the threat is still active, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so it's an active situation in your world.
It's an active situation. We can't consider this situation under control at this point. We have lots of personnel that are on scene, including special weapons and tactics team with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, the Ventura Police Department, as well as the Simi Valley Police Department.
So the shooter could be alive and could still be a threat.
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us any sense of how many people were hit?
I would say about a half a dozen people were injured inside the location.
Shot?
Yes.
Okay. And once more, the status of the shooter, sir, what can you tell us?
I can't tell you much about the shooter at this point. We're still looking for the shooter. We can't confirm that the shooter is in custody at this point.
And the number of victims we're hearing, mass casualty, means anywhere from 11 to 20 victims, is that correct?
At this point, what I'm hearing is about 6.
Do you know how many people were inside at the time?
I would say hundreds, but I can't confirm the exact number.
As far as you know, only 6 victims total.
That's what I can confirm at this point. But again, I want to remind you this is very preliminary, and our deputies are still processing it to ensure both that the shooter is neutralized and that the victims are taken care of.
We all by a witness that
you said on arrival, you described a very dynamic scene. What was that like?
When deputies arrived on scene, they responded to a shots fired call. When they got here, they were still hearing those shots, and they responded to neutralize that.
One of the witnesses said that they may have thrown smoke bombs in. Do you know about that? Was that still going off when deputies arrived?
I have not heard about the smoke bombs. I don't know about that.
Has anyone been confirmed killed, or has anyone died in this incident that we know of?
I can't tell you what the status of any of those that were shot is at this point.
When was the last time you had a shots fired incident in this community?
It's been quite some time. Thousand
Oaks is known for its safety. This obviously changes everything.
Thousand Oaks is a very safe community. This is something that thankfully is very unusual, and it doesn't happen very frequently in our neighborhood.
Do you train for active shooters?
We train all the time with active shooters, and if you see behind me, we have law enforcement for all agencies. We all train the same way for active shooter scenarios, so we can seamlessly work together to neutralize that threat. And so we're working with our partners, both state and other municipalities.
When's the last time you heard a shot fired?
That's a tough question. I can't tell you specifically when it was, especially in this neighborhood.
Name again, sir, forgive me.
My name is Garo, G-A-R-O. Last name is Kuredjian, K-U-R-E-D-J-I-A-N. I'm a captain with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you so much. Do you know if any weapons were recovered?
I don't have that information yet.
Any idea on next update?
I will be out here very frequently with you guys, probably in about 20 minutes or half an hour. I'm going to try to keep funneling you information. I just want to make sure it's accurate when I come out here. That's my
Thank you. Here and continue to make their way to the scene. When you talk about a mass shooting like this, a mass casualty incident, as it is termed in law enforcement, we're going to work our way down this line here and see what else we can find out, but we'll send it back to you for now.
Okay, Jory, thanks very much. And I'm wondering if we, okay, we're seeing some people here who may have been inside. It's hard to tell, but we're told from the captain with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department who spoke with the media just a short time ago that there were perhaps hundreds of people inside at the time. And we've heard from multiple eyewitnesses that many of them used chairs to break the windows, and that's how many of them got out of that building. They escaped through the windows after breaking the glass to get out. Some of them running across the street, one to a 76 station, and just getting out in whatever way they can.
To zoom out a little bit further from that, because it's an uncovered body, but someone there has died. That is not the description of the gunman. The gunman was described as wearing the black. One witness we just heard from said it was a black trench coat. That the gunman had black hair, was wearing a black trench coat, and carrying some kind of a pistol with an extended clip. Not an assault weapon that we know of, although initial reports were that it was some sort of it looked like an Uzi, but an Uzi looks sort of like a pistol. It's kind of, it's not long, it's not lengthy, or, you know, they've got shorter versions of them, I guess, but they have a folding stock and they can be carried like a pistol. And so that might be what it looked like to some people. But, you know, if you're not an expert, I'm certainly not. I don't know. So that's the extent of what I can.
Side of the building, several officers now making their way to the roof, and there's some type of a cursory search going on the roof of the building. Unclear whether there's information that have led them to the roof or whether they're just checking it out for some other reason. But there are officers with armed officers with their flashlights on the roof. You can see now taking a look along the side of the building there. Also, I can tell you that the Oxnard Police Department has tweeted this out. They have sent numerous patrol units as well as SWAT resources in this direction as well. So now Oxnard sending over their folks to assist. Also, I understand the FBI is on the way out here as well. I can also tell you that as the Ventura County Fire Department is consumed by this mass casualty incident, LA County Fire and LA City Fire are now helping Ventura County and other parts of the county with other 911 calls that are coming in from other areas. So this is obviously a major incident with a lot of cooperation from neighboring communities now emerging here as we approach the 1 o'clock hour, guys. But again, Oxnard now sending units this way, and some type of a search going on the roof of the building. Again, it could just be cautionary, but certainly appears that they are paying attention to the roof. Also, down the block, we mentioned that 76 gas station. There's the FBI on the scene. We mentioned that 76 gas station down the block. It does appear that they have some crime scene tape set up and possibly a little area for witnesses to gather. We saw some folks consoling each other, but it does appear that they may be gathering witnesses and debriefing witnesses down at that gas station. So that appears to be what's taking place there, as the command post that was a few blocks away has now moved quite a bit closer to the actual shooting scene itself. There again, you see some more folks, civilians consoling each other and talking amongst themselves. Some folks very well may have been inside when this all happened. You saw also that body that was in front of the restaurant. Next to that body was a number of chairs that appeared to be thrown out. We heard reports earlier that people were trying to use chairs and furniture to blow out the windows and use that to escape, and it does appear that there is a lot of furniture still laying in front of the restaurant. And you can see now, this is interesting, some more officers with their guns drawn, with firefighters behind them. This is interesting. Firefighters now behind some more law enforcement officers with their guns drawn, approaching that side of the building where those ladders are, and other officers have made their way to the roof of the building. So it does appear that there may be possibly some information that have led them to another corner of the building here, or maybe they have some intelligence that we're not aware of. But it does appear that this is still a very much active situation, and I can tell you, as I look out the window from Air 7 HD, there are several law enforcement officers still rushing Code 3 down the 101 freeway, heading in this direction. So this is, again, very much an active scene still.
We're in there, and she got out. She was on the dance floor dancing. She got out after hearing gunshots. No one's heard from him yet, so that's what I'm here for.
Including her, his own sister has not heard.
She's gotten out. Yeah, I don't believe. Last I heard, she hadn't heard anything yet.
Okay.
So,
have you heard any kind of? Has she described what went on, what she experienced inside?
From what I've heard, she was on the dance floor dancing. She heard gunshots, saw gray smoke, and then booked it. She got out of there. I tried to contact Justin at 11:51. It rang, went to voicemail. At 12:01, it went immediately to voicemail. So it's just kind of like a lot of chaos and not.
We've talked to people who have dropped cell phones, so just because you're not hearing from someone doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay. I'm sure you must be racked with anxiety right now.
Yeah, it's nice to it's a little bit more calming now. I think seeing everyone who confident and in control, the law enforcement walking around, it sparks some confidence, but it's just I don't understand why this happened. So it's a little much.
Go on to keep me from going then, so I'm grateful I wasn't there, but at the same time I wish I could have been there to help.
And now this. Here we go. We're now.
And now this.
You have multiple friends who were in there tonight?
I don't have enough hands to count how many friends I had in there tonight. I got a Snapchat message from one of my friends saying that I don't know if this is a joke, but there was a shooting at Borderline, and I immediately called one of my friends to make sure that it wasn't, and she said it was. So me and my girlfriend came from Studio City and immediately drove out here to make sure that everyone was okay. As you can see, we can't even get any closer, so I messaged everyone that I knew that could be in there. A few of them got back to me saying that they were hidden in specific spots around the place and they're all okay. I'm getting messages right now that people are okay. It's been a bad night. Yeah. This is college night.
So this is a regular event?
Yeah, just a bunch of lively kids.
Different colleges?
Different colleges from Ventura all the way down to the Valley. Santa Clarita, I think, has a few that come out.
When they were texting you, I'm just curious, what were they saying to you? I'm okay, or I was in the bathroom. What were they describing?
There were a few of them that said that they were in the bathroom. A few of them said that they were at the gas station. A few said they were underneath the building. But I got messages from all of them saying that they're okay now. They're safe. They're staying put until they can come out.
Did they see a shooter or anything? I hear you.
According to one of them, it was someone was in a black trench coat, came in, shot the front door guy. One of my friends is saying that they got a feed from I don't know where, but they were saying that the front door girl was shot, like 4 others were shot. He came in through smoke grenades and fired off 20 shots. That's really as much as I know. It's scaring me. It's really scaring me because a few of them I consider brothers and sisters, and to have anything to happen to them would be devastating to me.
What was your name?
Carl.
Your last name?
Carl Edgar is my first and last name. C-A-R-L.
All right, so another cruel twist of sad fate the news just continues to get worse. If that turns out to be the case, we have survivors of the Route 91 Festival mass shooting in Las Vegas to come here just to a random bar on a Wednesday night. We hope that that is not the case, and as we've heard and as we've been telling other people who have come here to see if their loved ones are okay, that at times in this event you just drop your phone and you're not reachable, and you're somewhere either sheltering in place or they brought you somewhere and you just have no means of communication. So simply because you have not heard from someone at this point doesn't necessarily mean the worst, but boy, you just keep your fingers crossed that that is not the case. It looks like there is a press briefing going on right now, so we're going to head over to that and check back in a moment, guys.
All right, Joy.
Listen it.
Is the location clear? We heard there might be people hiding in the attic.
We have deputies going through it now. My understanding is that there is, I didn't know about people hiding in the attic. I haven't heard that at all.
Sir, can you spell your name again, please, and your rank?
It's Kured.
All right, guys, I don't know if you just missed that. They have upped the number of casualties from 6 to 11, though we don't know the status of them, if they were just shot or if they were killed. And let's hop back in here.
Someone in law enforcement may have been badly hurt.
A deputy was shot. I don't know what his condition is.
Which agency?
With the Ventura County Sheriff's Office.
Were they responding to the scene, or?
Yes, they were responding to the scene.
Was it someone that engaged the suspect?
I don't know that, but I assume so, but I don't know that.
We heard a report about security guard that got injured. Security guard in the scene?
I don't have information on any of those injured other than the deputy that was injured. That's all that I have.
You don't have any conditions on any of the victims, is that right?
I don't have any conditions on any of the victims.
11 total right now that we know of.
Yes.
Are you expecting that number to grow?
I would guess, if anything, that number would go up. These are, again, like I said earlier, they're preliminary numbers. I wanted to give you guys numbers as opposed to saying several, and that number could change. Just like when I said earlier, 6, that number's gone up to 11. That number could change, and that's all that I can say.
Are there any of those 11 that have not been transported? Is there anyone on scene who is deceased and has not been taken to a hospital?
I don't have that information. I don't know of anyone that that is deceased or not transported.
So as far as you know, 11 people are in the hospital?
I don't know if they were transported or if they're here or what their condition is. I don't know that answer.
Laura, what do you say to the families who are curbside? Because there are so many people, friends and loved ones, worried about the status of their people. When will they know? When will they be able to get inside and see?
That will take some time. It's not a scene that is safe where people can go in and out at this point. We have investigators that are looking to make sure that the scene inside the nightclub is safe, and it's going to take some time. I don't have a time estimate for that.
Do you know how this call came in? Was it someone in the bar that called for help? Someone who left? How did that unfold? Do you know yet?
I don't know where the call came from, but what I can tell you is the call was shots fired, and that's what our deputies responded to. That's what they in fact heard when they arrived on scene.
Did you check with security guards on arrival to confirm or deny if it's a belligerent patron or if there was an altercation, a fight that may have led to somebody coming back with a weapon?
I don't have that level of detail. I've been, since it's so rapidly unfolding at this point, we're trying to get as much information to give you all about the statistics of what has happened. I don't have that level of detail. I haven't been able to talk to investigators to that level yet.
You said that the shooter is, quarantined somewhere, cordoned off?
We don't feel that the shooter has left the bar and grill. So whatever it is was contained inside the bar and grill. We don't feel that there is a threat to the public outside, to the neighbors outside.
We heard the personnel is inside the building and the shooter is inside the building. Doesn't that mean that the shooter is down at this point?
I don't know if he's been transported or if he's been captured. What I can tell you is we don't feel that there's a threat to the residents outside the area.
Do you know if the Borderline bar, do they scan for weapons on patrons coming in?
I don't know that.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, I think that looks like it's going to wrap up.
Right now, we do have equipment staged behind me. We have equipment from LA City and LA County that arrived on scene to support this evolution. We activated RTF, which is active shooter trained firefighters to go inside and work with law enforcement. And we do have ambulances staged closer to the scene and working on patients directly at the scene.
Brian, what can you tell me about the initial response of firefighters here?
Initial response, we upgraded right away with the message we had coming in on scene. We immediately upgraded more equipment to get here. and asked for our surrounding agencies for support. And they reached out immediately and sent equipment.
What surrounding agencies do you have here besides LA County Fire right now?
LA City Fire.
LA County, LA City Fire here. And how are they assisting you? What now is the process for you?
Well, right now we have so many engines and firefighters on scene that they're preparing to backfill our stations and make sure that we're still providing the best possible service to the rest of the citizens of Ventura County.
Brian McGrath, thank you so much. We know you have something to do. We'll let you guys continue. Haley,
I'm not sure. I know, I don't think so. I mean, I know people saw, two of my friends saw him, but I don't know if they, were that close or anything.
Did they tell you anything about this fellow? I know it's crazy tonight. If you're not paying attention.
Not really. I mean, I've gotten updates from my parents, but, we're not trying to speculate. We just want to get all the information accurate, correct, and, get through this.
And you've come to Borderline many times, sounds like.
Yes, I love this place. It's a very, it's our usual hangout. Like, my parents trust me going here that, nothing like this would happen. And, not to say that, things like that can't, but in this community, it's very hard for me to comprehend it because I've lived here all my life, and to think that, I've never experienced it. I've just never experienced it.
Do you mind taking me through where you were and how you found out about this?
So I was kind of near the door. There's some tables in Borderline, like when you first walk in. So I was near there, and I've heard, I didn't see the shooter, but I heard people say that he came through the front, but obviously I ran out the front, so, I don't know how that happened.
Did you hear the gunshots?
Oh yeah, they were very, very loud gunshots. They were very clear what they were, it was definitely not the music, there were people in the middle dancing and just hanging out and having a good time, and you hear that and you just know something's wrong. I really can't say, I don't want to put out any speculations. That's law enforcement's job.
No, I know, but did you hear more than 6?
I can't really say, but they're very fast, very rapid, very loud, and there were definitely a lot more than probably what a usual handgun would be.
Did you notice, people have said there were smoke bombs. Was there smoke in the area?
Yeah, there was some smoke. I got out of there as fast as I could, so I can't say anything as to what, other people that were in there, had experience with.
So as soon as you heard the gunshots, you just took off out the door?
No, we got down because I heard people screaming, everyone get down, and, I've never experienced this before, so I'm going to listen to whatever they tell me to do. Very scary, but once, the shots kept going and going and going, we just heard people say run, and we booked it as fast as we could.
So you were in there, you heard the gunshots, someone screamed get down, you got down, and do you know about how long it felt like you were on the floor?
Not very, because there were some smoke bombs, I guess, and there was one apparently near me, and I saw that, and we were like, it's going to go off, so we better get out of here before it does.
Did you see anyone injured as you were leaving?
I did not see anyone injured when I was leaving. With the group that I was hiding out with, there were 2 with injuries, but again, we had 2 paramedics with us, thank God that we're in that group. So they were taken care of, and they did receive medical attention as far as I know.
What was your name?
Erica Sigman.
Erica? E-R-I-C-A?
K-A.
What's your last name?
Sigman, S-I-G-M-A-N.
You're so brave to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing right now? You seem holding up pretty well, given what you've been through.
Yeah, I just want to get through it, and I want to be here for my friends. They're the ones that really kept me going through this, because there were times where I did lose it, for sure. And the group that I was hiding out with, there were strangers holding my hand saying, you're going to be okay. And, that's kind of what I take away from this, is that even though there's a lot of bad in this world, there's also a lot of good people there to help.
Thank you so much.
I was on the dance floor dancing at the time, and then all my friends were at the table right by the door, and then I heard the gunshot, I turned around and I saw him shoot a couple more times, and within a split second, everyone yelled, get down. So I ran to the left of the dance floor where the back door is, and everyone pretty much dogpiled on top of each other, and then it was silent for a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden a couple guys that were closer to the bar, they got up and started running towards the back door and said, "Get up, he's coming." And so it was a huge panic. Everyone tried getting up, and then just trampled a couple times. Some guy came behind me, lifted me up and said, "Let's go." And then I got a bar stool thrown at my head because they were trying to break the window to get out. And we finally made it out, ran up the hill, and then once we made it up the hill, we heard the second time.
Every Wednesday.
Did the gunfire break out a second time?
Yeah.
And this young woman's hand right here, this is the mark. I assume they make that when you go in the door, right?
Yeah.
And this is a very...
Can you describe what happened? Did you see the shooter?
Only for a split second. As soon as I looked back and saw him shoot the gun, I ran and tried to get cover.
What kind of gun did he have?
It was semi-automatic. It was a pistol. I'm not sure the type of gun it was, but it looked like a 40.
Someone had mentioned that there might have been smoke bombs thrown inside.
I heard there were smoke bombs, but by the time the smoke bomb went off, I was already down dogpiled on the other side, so I couldn't see it.
Did you wind up going out the back door or out the window?
I winded up going out the back door and running up the hill that's right next to there. And then as soon as we heard the second round of gunshots again, we ducked, hid behind a couple shrubs, and we 30 minutes went by and we didn't hear anything, and there was a bunch of cop cars there, so we ended up making our way down the side of the hill further away from Borderline, and ended up going to one of the cop cars. There were no cops there, so we went up the street to where they had a bunch of fire trucks and stuff, and so I could see if I could find any of my friends.
Do you know about how long the gunfire went on for? You know it happened while you were inside and then again once you had left?
While I was inside, I would say it was about a good 30 seconds. He had 2 rounds that I know with him. He changed them within about 6 seconds, which was really fast. So he knew what he was doing. And he also had perfect form. When I look back, he was like spot on. And
describe to me what it's like. I mean, you're in there having a good time, dancing, and then all of a sudden you're running for your life.
It was really, really, really shocking. It kind of, with my dad being in the military for so long, he's kind of, in a way, prepared me, but not really ever prepared me. I never thought something like this would happen. But I kind of got my head in check really quick, and I was like, I need to get shelter. I need to make it out of here. I need to do something. I didn't really have time to think about why is this happening, like what's happening. It was just like, get out.
How good of a look did you get at the shooter? Are you able to describe the look on his face, what he looked like?
He was wearing, I got a pretty good, decent look. He looked like he was wearing almost kind of like a ski mask over his face, but only the bottom half. And then he had a black baseball cap on. He was dressed in almost all black. He was a taller white man. That's really all I can remember.
Did it look like he was after anyone in particular?
Not that I know of. It was a bunch of like random shots at people.
Was he shooting directly at people, or was he just shooting in the
I think the first guy he shot was the security guard.
Can you describe the moment when those shots broke out? A lot of people talk about the panic that broke out. Was there a lot of screaming or running, or everyone just dropped?
It was everyone ran and dropped. There was some screaming, but not too much. I think everyone was in so much of a shock that everyone kind of just, it was sheer panic. Everyone ran and dropped as fast as they could.
How are you doing right now?
I'm still in shock. That's definitely, yeah.
This is your dad here?
Yeah.
Oh. And so you're just hearing that your daughter was involved in all this?
No, I got a call immediately. She did what we've always trained her to do, and that's drop your cell phone, get as far away from the shooters you can, and don't make yourself a target. And she did exactly what she was supposed to do, but someone else had their phone, and we got a call at 11:20 last night, roughly 11:20. She started out just by saying, "Dad, there's been a shooting. I'm okay. I'm hiding in the hills. We're up here by the cactus."
What are you feeling, being able to be here and see your daughter?
Relief. You know, it's my oldest kid. She just turned 19 pretty recently.
I didn't.
Well, about 6 months ago. She's 19 years old, and I'm proud of her.
You kept your wits about you. How did you do that?
It was kind of, it's just something that you had to do. Like, there's no time to panic. You just have to, you have to have the mindset of, I need to get out of here. Like, what can I do to save my life, let alone, other people's? And it's just, one of those, you can't even think about it. It's just, get somewhere safe.
We're so glad you're okay. Thank you for speaking with us.
Just I don't blame you.
All right. Let's go to Victoria now. Victoria, are you with us? You were at the scene.
Yes, I am.
What can you tell us, first of all, about what you saw? And you are a Cal Lutheran student. You were the event coordinator for tonight?
I'm a promoter for Borderline Bar and Grill, and
okay.
I am a Cal Lutheran student as well, yes.
All right. So what did you see?
I didn't see as much as everyone else. I was on the dance floor, and I had just walked around from the front of the bar to the back corner of the dance floor when I heard the pop, 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 and I knew exactly what it was. Grew up in a military family, and after Route 91, kind of just expected at that point. And I kind of crouched down, and I just started running toward the closest door, which I knew was in the back exit. And I tripped and fell, and I kind of started to get trampled. And then one of my friends picked me up and was shooing people out the door and got me out of there. Before I didn't even hear the second round go off. I was already out of there during the first rounds. And then ran out, and I didn't know where to go because I didn't know where the shooter was. Started running into the dark, and then saw someone in their truck, so I just went, and I was like, let me in. And it ended up being a friend who worked at Borderline as well. And I hopped in, and we bolted out of there, and he dropped me off at my house, and then went back to try to help more people get out of there. He guard on Thursdays and Saturdays, so he wasn't working security tonight. He was just working as a promoter, but he also runs the beer pong there.
Wow. So, we think about securing nightclubs, right, in the wake of what happened at the Pulse Club in Orlando, and how to make places safer for young people. And here's a case where, action was taken. You had a security guard, and yet it's just, if someone comes in and they want to do serious harm, there's really not much that can be done, it appears.
Yeah, the reality is, it's unfortunate. There's evil people in the world that do stuff like this, and that's the crazy thing too. Is I bet I can guarantee you half the people that were there tonight were also at Route 91, and so this is round two for a lot of people.
That is pretty telling commentary on the way things are lately in this country. These mass shootings are so frequent and so common that you could actually experience more than one of them in your lifetime. We send our best hopes and thoughts in your direction for your brother. We hope you find him, and we hope that everything is okay with you and your family and your friends. Victoria Rose Meek, who was there and looking for a family member. If somebody out there watching or listening right now who happens to know where her brother is, please get in touch with Victoria. Thank you.
Okay, let's check in now with Eyewitness News reporter Eileen Frere, who's on the scene. Eileen, what can you tell us?
Well, Mark and Michelle, we're in kind of a staging area where a lot of the fire engines and ambulances are on standby, being called out as needed. Originally, when the shooting first happened, the first fire engines, the first responders who arrived at the bar were already hearing gunshot. The responding engines, many of them were told to return to this lot for safety while they got the scene secured. They are here just waiting for orders, as this is still a situation that's early in the investigation. We were hearing that from the Ventura County Sheriff's PIO, telling us that there were, at this point, 11 victims. Among those victims, there are fatalities. They can't give us those numbers just yet on how many are among the dead. However, the PIO did say that one of those people they believe is the shooter who is still inside the bar. We have some sound to play for you from the PIO with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department as he describes what happened.
And among the injured in this incident was one of our sheriff's deputies. I also know that I just got briefed by our EMS coordinator. There have been people showing up at some of the local hospitals with injuries related to this incident. So there's people that left on their own and walked into ERs locally with a variety of injuries. So that number is going to go up from 11. I don't have an exact total. We're still in the early stages of this.
And not all of them were shot either, it sounds like.
That I don't know.
Good luck. Your sheriff's deputy, what can you tell me? How many years?
You know, I don't have those details at this point, and you know, we're still connecting with his family, and we'll have more on that later.
Ventura County Sheriff's Department. This is all starting to take on a large investigatory look. Both the size and scope of this investigation obviously is going to be massive. It's a massive crime scene. Authorities are going to be here for days, if not weeks, investigating this entire area, trying to piece all of this together. This is very reminiscent for me, covering the San Bernardino shooting just a few years ago. And of course, I think this is going to look very similar as some of these large vehicles start moving into place, and this takes on an investigatory phase. But again, earlier we saw the K-9 units actually going car by car, sniffing around, trying to find out if maybe they could figure out which vehicle the shooter may have taken to or may have used to get here. But so far we have not seen them focus in on any individual vehicle, and we have actually seen the canines actually step away. There's a lot of flashlights in the rear of the restaurant. Looks like they're doing some investigating near the patio area of the Borderline Bar and Grill. We saw earlier some officers on the roof of the building even looking for evidence there. But you could see all of the yellow tape around the entire property, and then the actual building itself. There's some more canine units stepping in here. In the actual building, there's now red hazard tape cordoning off the actual building and restricting anybody from entering the building, obviously, except for detectives. But now we see some additional canine units now in the parking lot, so we'll be watching this.
He doesn't go to school. He's just a part-time worker. He just was trying to have a good Wednesday night. It was college night at Borderline. I go there sometimes myself. He has slight reddish hair. He's 21 with a slight beard.
And you have not heard anything?
I have not heard
saying your friends have now gone to a number of hospitals and still nothing?
I've still not heard any word.
And again, officials, what are they telling you here?
They're basically just stating that just keep calm and that we will get information on him fairly soon.
There are still a number of people still at the scene, still at Borderline being talked to, so you gives you hope that perhaps he's there. But again, he hasn't answered his phone.
No, he hasn't answered his phone. His friends haven't answered his phone. Also, I haven't heard anything from his friend Jake Dunham. I know he was there with him too. But I haven't heard anything from either of the two of them. I'm hoping they just lost their phones, because I heard a lot of people were losing their phones when a lot of people were jumping out of the windows, from what I've heard. My buddy Matt Winterstrom, he broke a window with a stool and just started fishing people out of the window.
An official statement from the Ventura County Sheriff as well as the FBI.
Okay.
And as you see here right now, we have a number of officials that continue to gather, and we have a number of officials that continue to tell us that this is going to happen very soon, and we should have that update for you.
Yeah.
Let's just listen in, and hopefully, before we let you go, we have some good news about Blake.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks for the info, man.
Get there early enough to get to learn the dance.
This young man looking for his brother, Blake.
Yeah, I looked at the hospitals and there was nothing on him, so I'm gonna, yeah. Thanks, man. All right, bye. Yeah. Okay, bye.
What can you tell us?
So that was my buddy James. His dad, I think he's like the fire chief or something. But he said that his dad told him that if you haven't heard anything, that's probably fine. Just like everyone here was saying, if I haven't heard anything, he's either in an ambulance with minor injuries or he's just still at the scene. So everything should be fine. I'm just hoping that's the case. That's what we're all hoping.
And when you heard what happened, you immediately rushed down, or?
Oh yeah, I was actually at home asleep, and then I heard a noise from outside my room, and my mom said what was going on, and so we all got in my dad's truck and we rushed down here, like literally 10 minutes within like the 911 calls going out. So I've been here since 11:45 maybe. Yeah.
Well, we hope your brother, you get a hold of him real soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you could spell your first and last name for me?
So my name is Aidan, A-I-D-A-N, Dingman, D-I-N-G-M-A-N.
And your brother's name is Blake?
My brother's name is Blake Dingman.
Same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you just going to hang out and wave?
Yeah.
Out there at the site where a briefing is about to take place. We were told it would happen at 2:45 a.m. Typically, these things aren't always on time like clockwork, but we expect to hear from the authorities there very soon. And what we all know, what we'd like to hear, just as much information as we can, right, John, about who this person is. And
Going on that side or this side? Oh, you right up front, right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, to provide you with the latest information on this incident, I want to introduce on my left Sheriff Jeff Dean. Excuse me. This is the Sheriff of Ventura County. Name is spelled G-E-O-F-F. Last name is spelled D-E-A-N. On my right is Ryan Young. He's a special agent in charge of the Los Angeles field office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. His name is spelled R-Y-A-N. Last name is Y-O-U-N-G. Also on my right is L.D. Maples. He's the chief of the Coastal Division of the California Highway Patrol. First name is spelled L.D. Last name Maples, M-A-P-L-E-S. So right now I'm going to hand it over to Sheriff Dean to give you the latest.
Good morning. You're all experienced reporters, and you understand this is a dynamic, ongoing investigation and a tragic, tragic situation. So I'll go through the details. I'll share with you everything I have, and we'll answer all the questions you may have. Our partners from the FBI and the Highway Patrol will also answer any additional questions you might have. Tonight at 11:20 p.m., Sheriff's 911 received multiple calls of shots being fired at the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks. Our first sheriff's unit arrived on scene. 3 minutes later, there was also 2 Highway Patrol officers on scene who had been on a local traffic stop and heard the traffic and responded right away. Approximately 3 minutes later, a Highway Patrol officer and a sheriff's sergeant made entry into the Borderline because they heard shots being fired and felt there might be additional victims inside. Upon going through the front door, the sheriff's sergeant was struck multiple times with gunfire. The Highway Patrol officer stepped back and secured the perimeter until additional units arrived, and he rescued the sheriff's sergeant out of the line of gunfire. When additional units arrived, including SWAT personnel, agencies from the Oxnard Police Department, the Simi Valley Police Department, the Ventura Police Department, and additional officers from the Highway Patrol, they made entry into the Borderline Bar and Grill. They found 11 victims that had been killed. The suspect, who we believe was the only suspect, was dead inside. And there were multiple other victims of different levels of injury inside that were rescued from the scene and taken to local hospitals. In addition to the victims inside, and the numbers are upwards of 10 to 12, additional victims with minor injuries fled the scene on their own and took themselves to local hospitals. We have not identified the suspect yet. Our partners from the FBI were on scene almost immediately to help us with the identification process and with crime scene processing. We have no idea if there is a terrorism link to this event or not. As you know, these are ongoing investigations, and that information will come out as soon as we're able to determine exactly who the suspect was and what motive he might have had for this horrific event. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Well, Sergeant Hillis died at the... the sergeant passed away at the hospital about an hour ago. I only mentioned it might be terrorists because that's where we all go these days when we have multiple shootings like this. There's no reason for it, and we have this horrific death. I have nothing to lead me to believe, or the FBI, that there is any terrorism link here, but we certainly will look at that option.
Were there other devices inside?
I'm sorry?
Devices inside?
What do you mean by devices?
Reports that there was, people thought there were smoke bombs that were going on.
There's some initial reports that a smoke bomb might have been used. We have not found anything yet. We have called in our bomb team to go in through, and we have a couple bomb dogs here that are checking the area, but we haven't found any other explosive device or confirmation that there was a smoke device.
What does that make you think if there was a smoke device?
Well, hindsight and speculation is pretty easy. You would think if someone throws a smoke device that it was certainly more of a planned attack and not something spontaneous.
Tell us about the sergeant. How long was he on the force? Anything about him?
Sergeant Hillis was on the force for 29 years, was looking to retire in the next year or so. He was a Moore Park resident and is survived by his wife and his son.
What is his name?
Ron Hillis, H-E-L-U-S.
Sir, what kind of weapon was it? What do you make of this?
Well, the question is, Thousand Oaks, the Safe Committee, what do I make of this? I make it that it's a horrific incident. It's part of the horrors that are happening in our country and everywhere, and I think it's impossible to put any logic or any sense to the senseless.
Sheriff,
How did the suspect
shoot it out with officers, or did he take his own life? You know?
Well, when the officers made entry, the suspect was already deceased.
Was he included in that 11?
There are 11 victims. I will not count the suspect as a victim, the suspect, and then Sergeant Hillis.
So 11 victims.
11 victims, the suspect, 12, and Sergeant Hillis makes 13.
Have you identified the name of the victim?
No, we have not.
What about the weapon? Was this a semi-automatic weapon?
We have not found any type of assault rifle inside the location. The only weapon we have found that we believe was used was a handgun, but it's still early on and we haven't gone through the scene in detail. It would appear that way, but it's certainly well too early to know if he actually did take his own life.
Approximately, know the name of the victims?
Well, certainly, we have to wait for the medical examiner to get here. We have to do family notification, so candidly, it'll be hours and hours.
Do you know if the suspect had visited this bar before? Has anybody said it?
We don't know anything about the suspect. We haven't talked to anybody that had any contact with him prior.
Do you know if he lived here?
Well, I actually have no idea who he is. We don't know anything about him yet.
Talking about active shooter training. The ages of the victims, can you tell us that they were young?
I actually don't know what the ages were. It is a nightclub, so I would, speculate they were probably in the 21 to 26-year-old age group.
Can you talk about if active shooter training played a role in the sergeant, going in and trying to confront the suspect immediately?
There's no doubt that the change in how we handle active shooters played a role. Sergeant Helis and the Highway Patrol officer first on scene, they knew they had to take action, and they went in and did what they had to do.
One more time. 13 people dead.
Yes, 13. We don't know how many are injured because they went to separate hospitals. I'm going to speculate, given what I've heard, somewhere between 10 and 15 additional injuries. And we don't know, we don't believe there might be one additional gunshot victim, but we think there are other injuries, people trying to escape, breaking out windows and doing different things.
When you see these shootings happen across the country, did you ever think that it would be happening right here in this area?
I've been a cop for 41 years, and I never thought I would see the things around the country that would happen, but I've learned it doesn't matter what community you're in, it doesn't matter how safe your community is, it can happen anywhere. Because obviously for someone to do this, they have to have some sort of mental illness, and sadly we have people with mental illness all over the country.
Sheriff, were there any threats to anybody in the bar, any kind of indication something like this could happen?
We have actually no information about that at all. But again, we're very early on in the investigation.
Do you know what happened? Went inside, shot the security guard, and then kind of went in and started shooting. Is that what happened? Or can you walk us through?
We actually don't know. I mean, we're interviewing multiple witnesses, but I can say no, we haven't got everybody together yet to really put that timeline together, and we'll certainly provide that as soon as we can get something.
Should we have any thoughts at this time, any words you can share?
It's so tragic, and losing Ron, we go to the gym together, work out together, is horrific and terrible, and it saddens our heart, but there's also parents of those 11 other victims in there whose hearts are ripped out tonight, and I know there's parents wondering, oh my gosh, what was one of my children in there, or was it my sister or my brother? So there's just no way to describe this. It saddens us all, and it tears at our hearts and emotions, as it should, and if we ever get to the point where it doesn't, then there's something wrong with us.
Sheriff, can you talk about after Parkland, there was a lot of questions about police not being active enough, and it does sound like your sergeant really was proactive. What was the thought process in the department after Parkland? How have things changed?
Actually, it changed for us after Columbine, years and years ago, and we trained with our fire department for active shooting, and our officers know when you get to a scene and there's two of you, or even just one of you, and there's shooting going on, you go in. And that's a change of philosophy, what it used to be. And we worked so well in our county. The Highway Patrol was here. When they made entry the second time tonight, there were Simi Valley officers, there were Oxnard officers, there were Ventura officers, there were sheriff's deputies, and there were Highway Patrol officers. Everyone comes together to solve the problem.
And just a clarification on the timeline there, from the moment that the first contact was made by police to the moment that the second contact was made by police, what was the time frame?
So the time frame, the first deputies arrived on scene at 11:22. They made entry approximately 4 minutes later. That's when Sergeant Helis was shot. And I don't have the exact timeline, it was probably close to 15 minutes. They didn't hear any shots fired before they regrouped, got additional officers, and went back in. And there were people hiding in restrooms, there were people hiding in attics.
Do you have an idea of how many people were at the bar?
I have no idea.
Sheriff, what other scenes are you and your law enforcement partners investigating in relation to what happened here?
What other
locations?
None that I know of, but certainly when we find out who the suspect is, we'll go to his location and we'll work with our bureau partners to see if there's a connection. Right now, as far as we know, there was only one handgun, but that could certainly change as we do a more thorough search of the building.
And can you clarify, you said the suspect was down when police entered the building?
The suspect was down with a gunshot wound when the deputies the officers went into the building. Yes.
The deputy was shot by the suspect after making.
We don't know who shot the deputy.
Do you know who shot the victim? Was it self-inflicted?
We don't know who shot anybody at this point.
Sheriff, can you describe the suspect, age, Caucasian?
I probably shouldn't comment on that at this time.
The age, even just an age.
It would be a total guess. It's a horrific scene in there. There is blood everywhere, and the suspect is part of that. And I didn't want to get that close and disturb the scene and possibly jeopardize the investigation.
Based on like people who were trapped inside, they talked about
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Did the witnesses say they were trapped inside for like? I mean, what was their reaction? Describe what happened to you.
They're being interviewed by our by our investigators. I honestly don't know exactly what they said at this point. I wanted to get that information as soon as I could to you, and we'll continue to follow up. I have no idea what happened inside there.
Is that the sergeant?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Is there a message you want to send to his family? The sergeant's family?
I've met with them and talked to them. We spent time. I made sure I talked to them before we released the name.
When can we get another update with everything that's going on?
Well, by the time, I would say, an hour and a half maybe. I don't want to waste your time and have you come up and I don't have anything. You know, if we can get information about what the witnesses said inside or any additional on the suspect, we'll have our PIOs let you know. But I don't want to waste your time by bringing you if we don't have anything new.
How many other mass shootings have you had in the county? So this is the first one in the county.
Mass shoot? I don't remember in my 41 years having a mass shooting.
Sheriff, what would you like us to think about the sergeant? What should everyone know about him?
Ron was a hard-working, dedicated sheriff sergeant. He was totally committed. He gave his all, and tonight, as I told his wife, he died a hero because he went in to save lives, to save other people.
Sheriff, one question here, and for those parents who are waking up relatives, friends, what should they do right now?
I believe we have a victims hotline, and the PIOs will give you the victims hotline number where they can call to check and just make sure.
And where were they transported? Were they all transported by plane?
They went to multiple hospitals. Okay, thank you.